Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to show you today how to make this creeper cake from Minecraft. So if you're ready to make a really simple cake with a really cool effect, let's go. Okay, so we're going to start our creeper cake with a creeper. Oh man. So if you have kids out there who watch, a million Minecraft parody songs like Captain Sparkle's All Man one, you know what I'm talking about here. But anyway, I have made some cake. Okay, this is going to become a creeper head. So I've used 8-inch pans that are square in shape. Just baked up some marbled cake, nothing special there. Use whatever recipe you want. I'm making some green buttercream icing here. This is just a regular crusting buttercream, so again, nothing too special here. I added some of my green, it's Wilton leaf green, I think it's called, food coloring to it until I was happy with the color. Scrape the bowl, of course. Gotta remix it, make sure all that icing gets incorporated, all the butter and everything gets off the bottom of the pan. And then when you're ready with it, we're going to start stacking up our cake. And again, I did make 2 of the 8-inch square pancakes and I leveled them. I cut the tiers in half, so now I've got 4 layers there that you can see on my little cake plate. And those are going to become my creeper's head. So I'm just going to start out like any other cake where you're just going to add the layers and put a nice layer of icing in between. So that's what I'm going to do here. I put a little bit of icing down first just to stick my first tier onto my pan. And that little spot that I just put on my cake plate is so I have a direction. Now I know which way is going to face me and face forward, and I'll just wipe it off later. So I'm adding a nice layer of my green icing on here, and I am going to fill this with strawberries. So I just wanted to show you this real quick. There's this lovely footage of me chopping up strawberries, and I am just cutting the tops off, which would make my husband crazy because he always feels like that's wasting so much good fruit. He's a big believer of coring out the center to get the most out of the strawberry. But anyway, I've got my strawberry slices. I have my bag with icing in it, just a round open tip that I created a dam around the edges with. Now I'm adding my layer of strawberries to the cake itself. This probably doesn't have to be included, but I just wanted to show you what I'm doing when you add fresh fruit. Just make a little dam like you would with any type of soft filling, or, like if you're using a pudding or preserves or whatever. You know, it's always good to have that nice strong barrier on the outside so nothing comes squirting out when you start stacking and adding the weight. So now that I got my first layer on there, I'm going to add my next piece of cake, match it up as best I can, make it all nice and straight. I usually, get real hands-on with this kind of part. I like to feel around and make sure everything feels like it's lined up because sometimes you can't see with the icing gushing out the sides a little bit. And now that you have it all nice and stacked up, you're going to do the same thing again. Put your layer of buttercream icing on it, add your dam, add another layer of strawberries to it, and just keep on doing this until you reach your top layer. Your top layer, you're going to flip it over so it's upside down so you have that nice, I guess caramelized, I'm going to say, edge to work with. And then I'm going to put on a nice crumb coating, so more green, lots of green icing in this one. And I'm going to make sure the sides are covered up completely, make sure the top is covered up completely, and I'm not too worried about going thick. I'm going to go, thick enough that I'm going to try to make it as nice and even as I can and help retain that square shape as best as I can. But I'm not too worried about being super thick because I am going to go and pipe stars across this whole little guy. So that's going to take care of adding a nice little finished look to it. Now, once I get that all done, I'm going to put this back in the refrigerator for just a little bit to let it chill and set up, and then I'm going to start piping. I'm going to use a small star tip. I know it just looks like I just spun the cake. I didn't do anything, but it's actually been in the refrigerator for maybe like half an hour, I would say. This isn't, like I said before, a very big cake. It's only 8 inches. But still, it's got to have enough time to get nice and firm and not wiggle on me. So I'm using a star tip, a closed star tip, and I am just very carefully piping along the bottom. I'm going to go all around the edges. I'm going to try to make them nice and even, and I'm paying attention to my corners. I don't want, my corners to be rounded off as much as possible. I want to avoid rounding them off with my little stars. So I'm trying to finish more on a sharp edge, so kind of go right from the side of that last star tip or that last little star I piped and then keep going from there. And I gotta say too, yeah, see how I kind of did that? I'm trying to keep that effect going. Now, when you pipe your next layer, you're going to go between the two stars below it. I am not perfect at this, and after a while, my wrist and my thumb were screaming at me because a while ago I had been in a car accident where my hand got caught in the airbag when it went off. So I have a little residual pain that creeps up on me with the squeezing of this. It keeps coming back and haunting me. But anyway, so I'm trying my best to get nice even stars coming out, trying to place them between the stars below. So that way, at the edge, you're gonna, if you can really kind of notice, one star will finish out further, like that one finishes out further than the one below it. The one above is going to start out further to the side. And then when I start doing the other sides, I'm going to connect them all together. So it's kind of almost like a little Jenga system I got going here. Or maybe Tetris if you're more familiar with that game. So again, just going all the way up. Very exciting footage here, just me piping. You might notice too, if you decide to do this, that your hand is going to warm up your icing that's in your bag. I use a really big bag. I have a 16-inch bag that I'm piping with right there, so I try to put a lot of icing into it because I guess my hands are warm, which is weird because my fingers are always cold, but my hands will warm up the icing and then it gets softer and then it starts to get like a little sloppier looking. I don't know how you guys avoid that if you wrap it in a towel maybe, but I just kind of found that made it really thick and harder to work with my poor gimpy hand to begin with. And so what I do when this happens, so yeah, again, let me know what if you have a suggestion to try. I'd love to hear it. But I end up usually, if I start noticing it getting too soft, I squeeze it all back into my original mixer there in the corner of the video and remix it and just mix it back up with the original stuff that still is in there and still is nice and firm. And as long as I have enough in there to, balance out the mushy stuff I add to it, it comes out a lot better. And then I kind of re-scoop it, start it over again, and yeah, just keep going. Anyway, back to the cake. I've now piped the three sides, working on the last one. You're going to see a little bit of a time jump because, again, not exciting footage. Okay, so moving on. At the top, I'm going right along the top as evenly as I can. I really tried to make it even. When you pipe star cakes like this, if you can get a nice symmetrical, a nice clean look, nice clean lines, it really makes the cake look sharper. So I am getting very tired here. I'm using both hands to pipe, as you can see. And I'm also kind of losing my rhythm here. I just started going across the top. I wanted to get around the edge of the border as best I could because I felt like I had to meet that other side to get the clean, corner out of it. And then I just started filling in as I was going because at this point my poor wrist was just dying on me. And this is also why I don't do a lot of star-tipped cakes. I prefer to do different decorations if I can help it. So I'm just filling it in. You're going to see a little bit of a jump again because otherwise you're going to see my arm and my hand blocking most of the view. So I'm trying to work as best I can here. Again, a little bit more of a time jump. Just filling it in more and more and more. Just keep on going until you get it all filled in. And this is where, before I said too, that you can kind of see the difference in the quality of stars. They're a little bit shorter, a little bit softer looking. You can see my hands are choking up toward the end there. It's because I was running out of steam. Yes, done. Woo, there you go. Get that thing out of my way. Now, don't put it in the fridge yet. I'm going to show you a super easy way to make the creeper's face. I just have some Hershey's bars, some chocolate Hershey's bars, and I'm breaking them up into pieces. I've got the two long pieces. I'm cutting the one in half. I used two Hershey bars, by the way. They were king size. There was extra that I got to eat. But anyway, I used two of them, again, cutting it into as good of a square as I could. I probably should have just pulled out my silly tape measure and actually measured it. But I've got my pieces on the side, my one across the top for the mouth. I've got the two squares for the eyes. I'm using my cake plate that I baked it in, so this way I can properly size everything before I put it into the cake. Because right now my buttercream is still room temperature, so it just smooshes right into it and grips on nicely. Also gets on your finger nicely, so when you touch the chocolate, you're going to see I'm going to put a little green on there that I go back to wipe off. And also pay attention to the creeper's face. Turns out I made his mouth a little bit incorrectly. So yes, pay attention to that. Do better than me. You can see right there, I'm just kind of bolstering up some of those stars that were a little bit soggy, a little bit deflated looking. But yes, as long as you keep your stars nice and clean, keep your chocolate clean, get that extra green off of it, just like that. Wipe that spot off in the front. You will have a very easy, cool looking creeper cake. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it really does help me out as well. I've got a ton of other videos out there and a very large selection of Minecraft videos, so take a look at those too. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.